Welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus and the Australia Jobs Report. My name is Lee Goldstein, the Trading Director at 10 Minute Trades. Please remember, all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. Okay, so I'm a little bit early. I threw the stream up on YouTube. We're streaming this. Wasn't on the schedule, but I'm going to do more streaming, I think. So it's a very short trade room. Okay, thanks, Alan. Very short trade room. There's only really one way that you want to try to trade most of the Australia reports, only a trap trade. There's no liquidity that makes breakouts safe generally for Australia, so I don't recommend trading the breakouts. Sometimes you get good moves on the Australia jobs report, but the quality of the breakouts are just not good enough. So let me just post a couple of quick things for our YouTube friends in the chat. I just want to post if you want to join us as a member and not have to stream on YouTube, you can come into our trade room. It's not very expensive. Okay, so I'm going to put the news up. Let's see what they're expecting out of the Australia jobs report. Today was a pretty busy news day. There was no reaction to the beige Fed book in the markets, so not having a trade room for that event made sense. Now we've got Australia. It's also with the quarterly business confidence. That could have a minor effect on this event. If it's the same direction, it could give a little boost to the report. So we're going to go with the conservative trap trade on this setup, the conservative trap trade. And I'll get into that in a minute. Couple of quick things. First thing I'm going to do, everyone should do it. It's been a long day. We were in the trade room early this morning, 6 a.m., trading earnings. So what you might want to do, sync up your computer. Go to time is and make sure your computer is in sync. So I'm even going to do that. Make sure my computer's in sync. So what do I mean by that? Hey, what do you mean by that? That's what Soupy Sales used to say. White Fang. What do you mean by that? Well, we're going to go to the website time.is and it's going to check our computer to see if the computer is in proper time sync. And it is. It says your time is exact. If it should say that your time is not exact, then what you would do is we have free programs for our members in our trade room file folder, uniquely labeled files, and you can download one of two programs to help you to put your computer in sync. Dimension 4 time, which is called D4 time, Dimension 4, which is called D4 time, or you can download PT Sync, Karen's Time Sync. Both programs work virtually the same way. What happens is you click the exe file and you install the program on your computer, and then you get this little screen. The screen has servers that you can choose to sync to. There is a default server. My current server is the U.S. Naval Observatory. I just click the Sync Now button, and you'll notice the synchronized line changes. That means my computer is being put in time sync using the DC U.S. Naval Observatory URL, which is what it does. It syncs. Press Sync Now a couple of times. Then what you do is go back to time.is. If you weren't in sync, you use the extra program to put yourself in sync and then go back and check it using time.is to make sure you're now in sync. Now, isn't that funny? It actually put me out of sync because I was in sync. So I'll do the whole procedure one more time. If you're at the website time is, you can click the red button to check your sync. It doesn't put you in sync. So what I need to do is reuse my D4 time, which is the one I use, click the sync now button, close it, go back to time is, check my sync, and it should be in sync. Bingo, I'm back in sync. Okay, that's all you have to do. It's not hard, not complicated. Let's take a quick look at our daily trade report. We had quite a lot of adventurous trades today. PPI, oil report, bank earnings. It was a busy day. So the Australia jobs report, there is a breakout setup that I would not use. All right. In fact, the last three have not been profitable. Last month was a very small moving trade on this report in general. What I would do today is I'll use the exact setup on this Australia trap trade. Tiers of 18 and 30 with a stop of 20. So I'll set up the trap, right click strategies, double click trap. What is a trap trade? A trap trade is a report where if the market pops up, we go short. If the market drops down, we go long. It's a specialized reversal trade. We make our profit when the direction changes. We're going to trigger this report at 21, 29, 55. 21, 29, 55. It's a 20 bracket. I would actually use a 25 bracket. 21, 29, 55 is the East Coast trigger time. And tier 1 is going to be 18 ticks. Tier 2 is going to be 30 ticks. All right, and I'm actually going to add a contract to tier 1 because there's a good possibility we get filled on this report, and there's a possibility it'll reverse also. So it's only $5 a tick. It's not a huge risk. We're going to label it Trap 6A, Australian currency futures. That's what we're trading. And I'm going to trade it in my prop account, which I haven't turned on my data feed. Let me turn on my data feed. Connections, Bullinox. Okay, my data feed is on. I'm going to trade in my best prop account that I've done a lot of damage to today, taking some discretionary trades, not in the room, unfortunately. So I'd like to see a nice trap trade on this to help get this account close to funding again before I destroy it. I'm in the process of destroying the account. 21, 29, 55 on our trigger. Tiers of 18 and 30. All right. It's now like a new day. The futures opened at 6 p.m. The day starts over. So we've got our trap loaded. I'm also going to put on Mandinga. I'd use a 25. It's 20 to 25. Whatever you're comfortable with. It's $5 a tick. I like the 25 because if there's a burst, it just gives you a little bit more safety. Remember, with a trap trade, we have what we call the zone of safety. It's like from Star Trek. The zone of safety is tier 2 plus the stop, the number of ticks. So if our tier 2 is 30 and our stop is 25, that's 55 ticks. If the move, the spike, is 55 or less ticks, we'll have the opportunity to manage the trade, which is what we want. If the move is more than 55 ticks, it'll blow through our stop and stop us out. And that doesn't happen that often on trap trades because that's a pretty big move. If you look at our spike sheet on this report, it has been moving. It does have some good spikes, but last month it didn't even fill us. It was such a small move. So it has had some inconsistency. 45 ticks in May, no move in April. So we've had 2 out of the last 3 with poor moves. Poor moves don't worry us because we just won't get filled and there would be no harm. We just won't have a trade. But we had a 53 tick move in March and a 43 tick move in January. So with a 30 and 25, 55 ticks, we're pretty well safe. Almost every trade, every spike. So we should be able to hang in here with our setup, which is a little bit aggressive. The setup is a little bit aggressive. You know, you could use 25 and 40 if you want to be conservative. A conservative setup would be tiers of 25 and 40. That would give you 10 extra ticks in your zone of safety. Tier 1 would be 25, tier 2 would be 40. But I'm going to play it aggressive. And then I'm going to put on a secondary trade, a second strategy, reverse continuation. I'm not really planning on sticking around very long after the trade, but if there's an opportunity, I don't want to run away from it. So put a reverse continuation, Australian dollar, and I'll make it simple tonight. I'm tired. I don't want to do a lot of thinking. I'll do 2 positions. Position 1 will be a 2. So 2 contracts, just looking for a 20 tick move. And we'll use a 25 tick stop. And this is just a simple reversal continuation in the same account that the trap trade is on. So 6A, label it reverse continue. Maybe the trap trade doesn't fill and then a trend starts to kick in. So that happens. Plenty of times you get a trap that doesn't fill and then all of a sudden you're looking at a trend from the news. Now it's early. The futures have only been open not even 3 hours. So you're almost always in a pretty quiet range this time of day. But this report will move the market usually. And it's accompanied by NAB business confidence, quarterly business confidence. We used to trade that report. That report used to be very impactful, very. Now, I think what I'm going to look at instead of gold on my middle chart is the ES. Let's look at the MES. MES 0925. And we will set up for ourselves an MES reverse continuation trade on the outside chance that the ES moves on Australian news, which sometimes it can. So we'll do a reverse continuation also. And we'll set up 2 positions, just an 8 tick and a 20 tick target. If it hits the first target, we'll go to BE minus 3 and we'll use a stop of 30 ticks. It's micros, not going to break the bank. If we get stopped for 30 ticks on 2 contracts, it's $1.12 a tick, if I remember correctly, on the MES. It's 10% of the 1250 on the regular contract. We'll trade it in a different account. and we'll label it MES reverse continue. So we actually have three different setups that we're looking, and they're discretionary. Only one of them is automatic. Only the trap trade is definitely going to put orders on the chart. The other setups are discretionary. They're at our decision. And I love that. Very often after the news, we might have an opportunity to enter a trade. Now, this is a pretty quiet time of day, so I would only enter if there's really a fantastic opportunity. I wouldn't just enter, randomly without really, really thinking about it. Okay. And looking at last month's Australia, it barely moved. Only moved about, what was it, 18 ticks, if that. We'll see it. Okay, there was the trap trade. I was also trading a reverse continue, and you could see the trap. It just didn't move. And the news had a very good offset. The offset, they were expecting 20,000 jobs, and it was negative 2,000. So it was a good offset. It should have been a much bigger move. But whatever reason, the market just didn't really respond much to the news. So the trap trade got canceled. And we watched gold last month. It really didn't do much. All right, only a couple of minutes, 2.5 minutes to go. We'll see if we get a fill. I always use the same tools in every single trade room. So I use investing.com. This is a key free website that gives us the news results in real time. On most trades, it works reliably. Been using it year after year after year. It's very simple. Investing.com. And then we use the Squawk Box of Financial Juice Pro, which we love. Absolutely. I could not trade without live Squawk in my headset. I remember years ago when we couldn't afford live Squawk. It was $6,000, $7,000 a month. And it is really a fantastic service and a great price for Financial Juice Pro. I think we pay like 45 bucks a month. It's well worth it. Because lots of times you'll be in a trade, you'll hear news, it'll help make a decision whether you want to stay in the trade, whether you want to put on a trade after the news. It easily pays for itself. All right. I'm expecting more jobs created than expected. That's my guess. I'm guessing that the Australia economy is good right now. I don't know that to be true. Not going to trade any differently. I'm just thinking the numbers are going to be good. Okay, there's our orders. The news is coming out right now. Looks like we may have ourselves. We have a pretty negative report. I think we should get, however, the participation rate is positive. I think we should get our reversal here. First target, second target is way up at the PP at the high. I don't think it's going to just keep going down. That's the worry, that it just keeps going down. That would ruin our trade. It could fail. I mean, ironically, today might have been the first breakout in months that appears to work. Most of the time, although if you think about what happened, it burst down and then it reversed immediately. The problem for us, it didn't reverse enough. It didn't give us a big enough reversal to put us in a quick profit. Now the news is a bit negative, so I am a little bit concerned about market direction because the market appears to be responding negatively to this report. Also, the unemployment is up. It's not good news. So in a report in a trade where I'm concerned about behavior a little bit, you can combine your orders. In other words, you've got an order here, they're now targets. An order here, it's a target. You can combine them into one. They would combine here. The idea would be we would then move them to just above our entry, looking for a change in direction so we could get out with a small profit. I'm definitely not loving the fact that the news is responding very negatively to this report. It wasn't any problem with the size of our setup. The setup was good. The problem is the news is not reversing. It did a fast reverse, but not enough of a reversal to put us in a profit. Now we're quite a bit below the low, but if it breaks this low, we're going to be in big trouble. If it breaks that low, the trade's probably going to stop us out. You know, I've been doing this for so long. You can just feel the kind of movement that we're seeing. It's not, I'm not optimistic. Not optimistic. The squeeze is pushing down. We have a lot of ground to make up now. You know, it's not 100% we're going to get hurt, but I'm not super optimistic. It could also take a while. I'm not going to stay here forever. Now, the MES is pushing down pretty strongly on this, whether it's doing it on this news or something else that might be going on. So right now we're at the low. If we break this low, our trade's going to be in trouble. It's already in trouble. We're in trouble. Ironically, it was a, well, I keep thinking it might have been a good breakout. The breakout would have depended upon your stop because it went all the way down and created a new low and it reversed back up to in this area here. The stop for the breakout, we probably would have used a 25 stop. So I think the breakout might have survived the pullback, and then you could be making money as it continues down. Now the ES is selling off. I should say the MES. And it certainly appears to be selling off from this news initially. I don't really think we normally get this kind of move from an Australian news report, to be honest. I don't think it's the Australian news report. It might be there was a message Trump to sign executive orders on Thursday afternoon, right at the time of the news. That was printed on the news feed. This trade's doomed because it's making new lows. It's making new lows. It's going to stop out. It's so close to my stop now, I'm just going to let it do its thing. I would be shocked if we survive this trade. The only good thing is this is a trade most people don't come to. We don't usually trade it. Excuse me. The only reason I'm trading it is because it has been acting better lately. It's been moving better. And it's been a fairly decent trap trade at times. So, sometimes you just call it wrong. Now, for me, the ES, we missed this ES move. I would not jump in here. It would be too much of a chase. Now, I'll stay here until 21:45. If the trade is still alive, then I'll close the room and just keep recording, and we can play it back tomorrow. My gut feeling, I'd be surprised. You never know. I mean, I've seen trades change direction. There's often a pullback off the low. So we've made a new low 1, 2, 3, 4 times since this news came out. So it's extremely possible that we may get a change of direction off of the low, which almost appears to be happening. The squeeze momentum has changed from short to long, although I wouldn't even call it long. I would just call it the momentum changed because it's the same size bar. So that would not be a good long signal, and it's still not printed yet. Notice it went back to red. It would be a real squeeze signal if the bar would change length. Now, the best squeeze, but you don't want to change your chart in the middle of a trade with orders on the chart. You don't want to change your time frame. But the 30-second squeeze does give better signals, especially this time of day. Let me show you what I mean. Turning off my MES, putting a 6A, 0925. I'm just going to show you the same chart with a 30-second time frame. Notice the squeeze is definitely changed momentum and direction. And now the length has changed, so maybe we'll survive this and get that pullback. My gut feeling is if it pulls back 50%, you might want to exit the trade with a loss, but not a major loss. I don't, I'd be surprised if it pulls all the way back to our entry. Anything can happen. So remember I said I would combine my orders? Press the combine button. All the orders are now combined, and I would put my exit right above our entry so that if it hits this area, we can get out with a small profit. If you think it's only going to go to S1, then you might put your exit, unfortunately, in a losing position, but less of a loss than what would happen if it hits the stop. So right now, we're not sure what's going to happen, so I'll be very optimistic, but I'm still not feeling too excited about this direction. There still seems like there's too much downward pressure. We do have the squeeze working in our favor. There's not a lot of volume this time of day. You know, years ago, we never would have stayed in a trade this long. We would have just exited. Nowadays, we know better. We know that, you could stay in a trade for half an hour. And, yeah, we're called 10-minute trades. We hardly ever stay in a trade more than a couple of minutes. Um, but don't be foolish. There's no reason to exit this trade now if it looks like it might change direction. We have our risk. We put our risk on when we first started the trade. It made new lows and then it stopped. So there's certainly a small possibility that it might not be a full stop out. Right now, you're looking not for a full stop out, and that would mean, you got to watch the trade. And if you can make it to the S1, that would only be less than half a stop out. That'd be a lot better than a full stop. The squeeze is in our favor, but we're not getting good price action from it. That you can see. So right now no decision has been made. I said I would stick around till 21:45. What we're experiencing is very common price index when a new low is made. There's often a retrace off that low. If it breaks S1, that's a very good thing. S1 is the pivot here. Now, there's no law that said you couldn't add another contract long if you wanted to try and take advantage of this change in direction. It all depends, what your risk tolerance is. I wouldn't do it now because you've lost almost half of the move if it gets us all the way back up, and you're adding quite a bit of risk. But if you would have added a contract down at the low to try and take advantage of the change in direction in quote unquote a failed trade, the extra loss would have been much smaller compared to the potential gain. The timing of adding that contract is important. what's kind of wacky is you can just add an extra contract by clicking the buy market button, right? And then you add your contract in Ninja, you make it 4 instead of 3 on your sell because you've bought another contract. It's actually very easy to do. And then you add another contract to your stop by changing that 3 to a 4. It's extremely easy to do that. Now, what I would do, no matter what, I don't want to take a full stop. So why don't we say if the price goes back below the second candle here, whoops, that's what I'm willing to lose. We can shrink our loss now. So no matter what, we have an opportunity to cut our loss somewhat, and we still don't know if we're going to be the benefit of a stronger pullback. We might wind up with a flat exit. These are some of the techniques I personally used to try and save a trade that didn't work. Rather than just throwing your hands up and exiting, if the market gives you an opportunity to shrink that loss, take it. And there's a variety of ways we can do that. So the Australia unemployment rate is a 3.5 year high. That was extremely bad news, as represented in that negative move. So that's a little bit of bad luck. Usually the unemployment rate doesn't move that much. So we decided to take the trade, and the news had what we call a large offset. Even though it's only 0.2%, it's in the relation to what it's been as a number. It's a 3.5 year high. So it's a bad news number. So sometimes you can get a large move that doesn't seem to make sense because it's only a 0.2% difference in the forecast and what the actual news was. But then when you take it in relation to the news report and the previous data, it makes a lot of sense. I'm trailing my stop to make my loss smaller. Okay. Now we've significantly reduced the damage from this trade. If it decides to go back down now from here, it's nowhere near as bad as it was when our stop was down here. Okay? And it does look like this is going to happen because it was such negative news. We kind of got our 50% retrace. It did break that S1 pretty well. I thought maybe it would continue. It might still, but made the decision to cut losses. So you live with it. It's only one more tick to stop us out now. Just watching. I'm kind of just waiting for the stop. I said I would stay till a quarter of. but I think this is going to be resolved in a minute or two. Maybe not. It's not taking us out. I'm not going to move anything yet. Trades surprise you. You never know. You never know. What do they say? Miracles happen, right? Anybody actually awake out there? Anybody paying attention? Did anybody take the trade? Look, it's pushing up. It's pushing up. You could trail. I'm not going to trail my stop yet. I'd like to see it break these candles. My feeling is if I move my stop up now, it's too close to the current price. That's like suicidal. It's already now, it's only one tick away. All right, so it got us. Um, Make sure you cancel all your orders. Cancel all orders. Okay. Close. Hit the close button just in case. So just bad luck, really, that we got hit with a report that had a very unusual unemployment rate and negative employment numbers. Really pushed it down. That's okay, Mandinga. Everybody makes their own choice as to what they want to take. You might have done better than I did by doing it earlier. Okay, everyone, we'll be back tomorrow, 8 o'clock tomorrow for U.S. retail. Okay? And thanks everyone for watching on YouTube. I think this was a good lesson. You don't win every trade. We know that. We had like 3 winners in a row on YouTube recently. Sometimes you're going to have a losing trade. Thanks for watching. It was an unexpected stream, wasn't on the schedule. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you get our notifications.